It is Friday, the 12th of September, 2025, and I was going to do a video yesterday. Um, it was going to be on 9/11 for the anniversary of it, because we're still not shown the truth about it. But then, with what happened with Charlie Kirk, honestly, that that changed things a lot. So yesterday and the day before, I was quite busy in my own life, and so I was in poor reception areas for a lot of this. But anyway, just such a tragic event that happened, and to someone that absolutely did not deserve it. He was someone that was salt of the earth. Again, I didn't obviously know him personally, but he seemed like a genuine person, and we agreed on a lot of different points. And there were points, just like a lot of other people are saying, that we didn't disagree with. But again, having that open dialogue, he was open to having that in a peaceful way and sharing data, not misinformation and things like that. And so a lot of misinformation, like I've been saying, spread on the left and right, and a lot of shocking, disgusting, appalling um, content being posted on social media. A lot of it, I think, is possibly for rage bait, clickbait, and then just deeply sick individuals who were celebrating this terrorist attack. And it's unfortunate, but it's about getting to the truth about what happened. And so for the last little while, I've been talking to people that are in the international security industry, trying to unpack what happened. Just because, again, the suspect at this point, from the last I checked, is still at large. There are photographs out there that the FBI released yesterday regarding a person of interest. And so even within like the first few hours, there were people that were reporting that there were two suspects at different times that were detained. They were interviewed, interrogated, and they were released. So they were not the shooters. And so this is why it's really important to look at the details and look at the information first before you start sharing information, right? Because this is what confuses the internet and keeps people in echo chambers, right? And especially when people aren't correcting the misinformation. And so I'm not going to name any names out here, but I will say it's there are people that should know better and do better, especially if they have over 1 million viewers or subscribers on certain social media platforms, and they're sharing misinformation. And it's hard to get that off the internet, right? Once it's out there, it's out there. And so not the suspects, still possibly still at large, but there is a lot of information that law enforcement has. And Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, they were on their way yesterday to go to Utah and assist with the investigations. And obviously, they have skin in the game in this as well. And they did know him, and so and but I'm assuming they're going to remove like the personal aspect of that, because they're professionals. And so, yeah, even though um I think that Charlie Kirk was a really good human being. Like, he was very much a believer in God. He believed in his faith. He was very courageous to speak out like he did and share good information, important information that was actually healing and helping people, causing division along the way as well. But that's just an outcome of people with that much of an impact within societies. And he had influence internationally. So I was looking at a lot of different tributes as well, which is heartbreaking. But there's people from all over the world that are sending their condolences to the USA right now. They definitely lost a good person. He didn't drink. He didn't smoke. He didn't do drugs. He was a family man. He talked about monogamy and about the importance of a family and being loyal and honest and living with integrity. And so I just, to me, it's just a really sad day when someone like that, who had so much impact and influence on future generations, to be just disgustingly, cowardly murdered in that way, with his children close by, with other children there. Like this, again, it's just, and even, and again, this is, there's no hypocrisy in what I'm saying, because I've even said that a lot of people did not like Justin Trudeau, thought he was an actual criminal, an actual traitor to Canada, and was causing the harm and death to countless Canadians. And I still, like, even in 2022, even though even publicly online, I was sharing that like a lot of different disagreements I had regarding how the budget was managed and how COVID was managed, and about a lot of lies about Ukraine and Russia and like where our money was going regarding supporting and enabling crimes against humanity and genocide and suffering of others internationally, without focusing on what's going on at home, and actually importing issues that we're having, and responding to in other countries at home while this is happening as well. And even one of the chiefs of police here in Ontario, I think it was Toronto, but he was even saying in the last 24 hours that it's not sustainable, and it has not been. The system is broken. I'm talking about for law enforcement and for criminals within Canada, especially in Ontario. Well, that's not true, because even BC and actually all over Canada across the board, there's a lot more crime. And it's not sustainable because the amount of people that we've allowed in without proper vetting and coming from countries where things like Sharia law are practiced, not compatible with Christianity or Western culture, which is derived from Christian values and ethos, from the Christian Bible and codified into law, and all the traditions like Easter and Christmas and things like that. Again, it's from Christian. Why? Like again, I'm on these tangents. I'm sorry, but anyway, he was someone that was saying that pornography was bad, which again, like I don't understand how. I mean, I do, because like I was even predicting it this year that domestic terrorism would increase, and there'd be like more division. And this is not about the left and right at all. And I've said before, I'm libertarian, and that if I was in the U.S., I would be independent. And there's a lot of people within different government organizations that are more and more independent, just because of the division they see within political spectrums, in ideologies, and they don't want to subscribe to that. So anyway, so there are people that are wondering if this what got Charlie Kirk in the neck was the actual bullet, or if it was a fragment, or if it ricocheted off his chest and then hit his neck. And so this is where people within the international security industry, like they've been unpacking this. We've been communicating, and removing emotions out of it to assess, like just very, very slow-mo of the video from different angles and locations. And so it does absolutely look, I'm not going to show the video at all online, because again, I don't think this is anything that should be out there for normal viewers. Like I can explain it, and then just, so it looks like there is pressure on his chest and an expansion prior to, or almost at the same time as the bullet. And so people were wondering if there was a possibility that there was a bullet or another bullet that fired and struck the chest. He was possibly wearing body armor, or like what I think to be just like a chest armor, possibly like a very short, small, thin body armor under his t-shirt. It does to me look like it possibly could be. Again, I can't verify that. And then even in some of the shots, you can see that like a bit of black on the collar, so it could be the movement of the t-shirt showing a bit of the body armor. Again, I don't know. It's just, again, it appears like that right now based on the videos I'm looking at, and so we still got to wait until more information comes out or gets leaked. But it shouldn't be leaked. Like this should be done, hopefully done properly. My goodness. And so there was that, and then there was like a fragment, like a black piece of matter or material that comes before, or appears to come before the bullet, and or like the blood starting to gush. And so that could possibly be, I can't answer these yet. Still talking to people about this. It could be either like a fragment, or it could be like a piece of the vest, or maybe a piece of like a microphone equipment that could have possibly been on him or around. Could have been blood spatter that came before the gushing. So again, these are just like possible theories. I'm still going to be looking into it, but at this point, I think obviously the truth about what happened to be known to people, but also the suspect to be caught. There was other things as well, like people showing the ring on his hand, how it switched from one finger to another finger. And it could just be because of the speed sorry, I'm getting like I sent that to a few people, and so like before we get into people are saying that it was AI generated. So again, even people from prominent accounts, that's why like I'm sharing this information. I think that, and so what they did was they put videos and they put it into AI, and AI is saying that these are fake. And so again, I'm not subscribed to that at all. I'm just sharing what the left and right are saying about this, and then even the disgusting comments about this being possibly celebratory shots that were fired that possibly got Charlie Kirk in the neck. Just again, on the left and right, it's been so ridiculous. And again, it doesn't help. It could have been a false flag. It could have been someone that was a fall guy that could have been persuaded or in various different ways of committing this heinous act. It could have been someone that fully bought the woke ideology. Someone with obviously that was mentally unwell and just was in an echo chamber that he couldn't get out of, and that it further reinforced more hatred and division. And when you're getting on social media that he was a fascist, he was a neo-Nazi, he was a racist, he was sexist, misogynist, etc., which he was absolutely not. He was absolutely not. But again, when you get all that misinformation and this is what's being fed into people, like this causes brainwashing. Causes already mentally unwell people to go over the friggin' edge. And that's not the answer. That is never the answer. And he had a family, he had friends, he had a lot of influence. And again, he was someone that was faith-based and was coming from a good place and led by example, did not deserve that. And for people to glorify this, it's so disgusting to me. When they don't talk about the murders that have happened to even that young Ukrainian woman that happened. This was actual physical harm, murder. And the same people that wouldn't even talk about that or they would actually like outwardly dismiss it or gaslight even reporting on that, fully on the bandwagon about this. And so it just, the hypocrisy to me is just out of this world, where they choose what to celebrate, they choose who to celebrate, and it's all based on ideology. So dangerous. Anyway, Charlie Kirk, this was Harrison Smith, I guess, that Charlie Kirk had said to him several weeks ago, that he was actually afraid to go against Israel publicly in fear of being killed. And so what a lot of people don't know, because there was, I wouldn't say tension from within the Republican Party. Yeah, there was, and there's division because of how people were reporting and still are reporting what's going on in Israel and Palestine, and war crimes and genocides and funding, and who's supporting and who's enabling and who's profiting and who's not. And how this is not helping Americans or Canadians or people of the West by supporting and enabling these genocides, regardless of if we believe in the systems that they have in place and what they're doing, or the faith that they have, or like not having compatible cultures, regardless of all of that stuff. So anyways, in the last month or so, he's been further questioning what's been going on, and even with Megyn Kelly and with others, so publicly. And again, it's been more recent, and he was someone that was friends and worked with Candace Owens, and she was again someone that was sharing a lot more truth about what's been going on there than a lot of Western media outlets. And I say a lot of the reason why is because there's a lot of money being funneled into certain media conglomerates, and it's pushing a lot of propaganda and psychological operations, whether these people realize it or not. Some do, some don't care. And on the eve of 9/11 as well. And the messaging on the casings apparently and on the rifle were about the trans ideology and about being anti-fascist. And again, ridiculous for anyone to call Charlie Kirk a fascist. It is absolutely mind-blowing to me just how brainwashed you would have to be to think that he or people like Donald Trump are actual fascists. Like they literally, and comparing them to Hitler, it just shows you just how extreme some ideologies are. It's a small percentage of the society, but causing a lot of harm. And so, yeah. And so people were saying that as well. The man standing behind Charlie Kirk resembles the man standing behind Trump during his assassination attempt. I know which one you're talking about too. That was another one that came up. I don't know about that. Like there are similarities, but it doesn't look to me personally, again, I could be wrong, like the same person at all. And this is someone that's been a repeat because I have watched a lot of Charlie Kirk's videos and debates and things like that. And so the person that people are talking about, I don't think it's the same person. There are a lot of repeat actors in staged and planned events. I will absolutely agree with that. But I'm saying in this case, it doesn't appear to be the case. And you just reminded me as well, there was another security guard that people are sharing videos where he does a movement and there's something in his hand. And it was around the same time that Charlie got hit. And I looked at that video as well multiple times. That was shared with me. And it doesn't look like it at all. It doesn't look like there's any like muzzle blast. It doesn't look like there's any like real kick. There doesn't look like there's just so much there. It looked like he was just responding to what was going on, and not the one that was the actual shooter. Does not look like that to me at all. Again, I'm waiting for more information to come out, but I still, again, I'm not afraid to give my possible theories on this. And yeah, so just going through my points here. So I'm going to look at some. Okay, so I saw the video by accident, watched it multiple times because it looked like AI, and I'm afraid that it didn't impact me at all. How it became this? Yeah, I agree. A lot of people have become desensitized. That's a good way of putting it. And so either people that are really not understanding like how tragic this is and how messed up this is, and the reasoning why, just like, again, just because of a difference of opinion, because of a difference of ideology, how is that tolerant? How is that coming to any kind of common ground, which is required? And I'm going to share some videos first from my stories.
What advice do you have for me as I move into adulthood in order to become a more informed and involved citizen?
Well, first of all, thank you for being here, and I have hope thanks to people like you. How old are you again?
13.
13. Here's a couple things I want to encourage you to do. Learn something new every single day, and focus on what it means to be a good person and a person in strong character. Aristotle said that courage is the ultimate virtue. Without it, there are no other virtues. If people aren't courageous, you don't have honesty, you don't have justice, you don't have beauty, you don't have wonder. And so at age 13, I want you to commit yourself to a life of courage. Courage is doing the right thing when you don't know how it's going to work out. Courage is committing yourself to the correct course of action, regardless of the cost associated to it. Every human being, I believe, is made in the image of the divine, is sacred, is unique. And if we get away from this principle as we have, we not only have moral degradation, we not only have the collapsing society around us, but it's bad for that being itself. That being itself is unique. That being has rights. And who are we to say, just because we're older, that we get to murder it? Thank you.
They got Charlie Kirk, bro. I've never been happier.
Never believe the reason I'm smiling. And it has nothing to do with Charlie Kirk. Nothing to do with
I would say pour one out for Kirky boy, but I don't waste good beer on little bitches.
I haven't posted on TikTok in a long time, but I'm gonna now because rest in peace, Bozo.
Charlie Kirk just got put down like a fucking dog in Utah, and I could not be happier. Praise fucking be.
I do not, and I will not ever feel bad when bad people get what the fuck they deserve.
Charlie Kirk got shot? That's awful. That's so sad. Hope he recovers well.
I just heard that someone shot Charlie Kirk? Dang it. Ah, shucks. Thoughts and prayers.
They got Charlie Kirk, bro.
Mentally unwell. I hope if these people are in any position in government or leadership that they get fired. Absolutely disgusting. Regardless of what side you're on, how disgusting. He didn't drink, he didn't smoke, he didn't do drugs. He tried not to swear, led by example, family man, raised a family, was raising a family just at the start of that, believed in God, trying to help people. He was very stoic, a philosopher of our time. We used to be able to have debates in open forums, in coliseums. We used to have debates. We used to have greats like Aristotle and Socrates and Hypatia and Eudoxus and these people, and they were able to go out in massive against massive audiences and have debates. And these were recorded within history. Can't do that now. Yeah. University of Toronto political professor on the death of Charlie Kirk. If you're wondering why kids are getting so radicalized in our universities now, these are the vile teachers who are brainwashing. So, sorry, I have to get close here. So, shooting, honestly, too good for so many of you fascist cunts. And that was from Dr. Ruth Marshall. Deranged. I hope she gets fired. I hope she goes viral and gets fired. I don't wish any harm on her, obviously. Yeah, so this is the person of interest they're talking about. There are a lot of videos coming out where people think it's additional footage of him. It's not. It's AI generated, just to show what he possibly could look like while moving. But yeah, so any videos you're seeing at this point, I think, are still AI generated. So this I posted yesterday. Yeah. Oh yeah. So anyway. So there's a few I want to share, and then I want to end on a different note. And yeah, again, I was going to talk about 9/11. I'll share Canadian first. Moose on the loose. CBC pushes disgraceful lie about Charlie Kirk. Canadian professors and government officials celebrate his death.
But there's also the hypocrisy there, I think, that feeds into the rhetoric, exactly the language that we're seeing there, the language even that Charlie Kirk uses.
It's been a whirlwind here the past couple of days. Welcome back to Moose on Loose. My name's David.
Yeah, and it's the lying and having no proof when they allege that he said things that he didn't say. Like this is again,
Today we've got
it's
more.
such laziness just to reinforce your own bias, saying that he said things again that he did not say to justify celebrating his murder.
Home invasions. We're also going to focus in on Charlie Kirk in this situation because it just keeps evolving to something else. We have the woke left being completely unhinged. We've got university professors writing deplorable things, Canadian government officials writing deplorable things, the US government saying that they're going to ban Canadians who are saying this stuff. We got a whole bunch of stuff here. Let's jump into this. So starting this one off here, we've got global news. Going to be doing some layoffs here in BC and Alberta. And while we're talking about...
I will say also that I don't think these people should be censored. I think that like allowing people to have freedom of speech, again, this is a right that we should uphold and withstand, because it also allows people to show their true colors on social media, right? So even just what they're posting being so vile, just imagine what they think and what they share within their personal lives, which would be less filtered. And so allow these people to have freedom of speech. There's already laws and rules against people who incite violence, etc. And so allow these people to just show exactly who they are, because there are repercussions for it. You won't get hired. You will get fired. Normal people don't think that way. Normal people don't say the things that he's going to share.
Global news, we have this one here. Ben Mulroney looks like he's going to be the new host of the West Block. This is an interesting move. Got this one. We've got Ontario Police Chief calling out Mark Carney and saying Canada's basically overrun. The system doesn't work.
The system is broken. And as your police chief, I am telling you it needs to be fixed right now, and it needs to be fixed urgently.
So that was just the end of the press conference here. But when you have a police chief saying that, where's Sean Fraser? He made some announcements today saying that there's going to be bail reform and this, that, and the other. I'm sure he's going to get all of that done from the comfort of his couch. So moving into the Charlie Kirk situation, it's blowing up in America, blowing up in Canada here. We've got this from Toronto Sun. Canadians celebrate Charlie Kirk's end, maybe banned from the United States. The U.S. State Department is keeping track of people inside and outside of their country who are applauding the conservative influencers' end. We've got this one here, University of Toronto professor, this lady, sent home by the dean after posting insensitive and concerning comments hours after Charlie Kirk's end. She needs to be fired, not sent home for a day. Because what she said is this: pew-pewing is honestly too good for so many of you fascists, C-word. This is a university professor writing this. Fired. And never hired again by anyone. Just think about this. This is someone who's shaping the minds of Canadians. This is someone who are teaching young adults how to think. This is dangerous. This is a dangerous person to have in this position. This person should never be able to work with students, kids, anyone ever again. There's quite the eruption of posts here. Rachel Gilmore came out with her insensitive comments. Now she's completely locked down her account. We've got this website here. It's called charliesmword.com. And scrolling down, Rachel Gilmore right at the top here with her comments. And this is a list of just everyone who's wrote something insensitive. You got this guy, Jeremiah Farmer. NBC posted this, the whole event with him, and then he replied, "We need to find people with better aim." He posted this because they didn't know if Charlie had made it or not yet. Like, this is disgusting. If you scroll down, it's just person after person, what their Instagram, their email addresses. You know, this guy here, Benjamin Asprey, adjunct facility, PhD, Northwestern University. His comments: he died as he lived a throbbing hemorrhoid in the rectum of civil society. Like, disgusting. You know, they got all this information here, email address, and it's person after person. You can see somebody's been busy putting all of these in here. And this doesn't even have the university professor I just showed you. Got Billboard Chris also posting the university professor, putting the number to call the university directly. Look at this, access denied. They shut down the page. University took the page down. We are seeing a major rift here because the left are not being respectful. They're being disgusting monsters. I mean, look at this. So there's a guy here who rides in on a scooter. You can't see him. He's like right where this sign is. And he starts saying, F Charlie Kirk, to a bunch of people at a vigil, and this guy gets his butt pounded.
This guy's gonna get some.
So I'm not going to play the video, but this guy, he gets pounded by about 20 people. I mean, don't be stupid. Like, this is the rule in life. Don't be stupid. And don't be insensitive. We've got Jasmine sharing this one here. So we've got the Minister of Families in Wab Kinu's government had to share this about Charlie Kirk. She promptly deleted it following Wab's statement and condolences. So Wab Kinu did come out with a nice statement saying that we need to have peace. But his Minister of Families said Charlie Kirk was an R-word, a xenophobic, a trans, Islama, white, I can't read these words, mouthpiece who made millions of dollars inciting H-word in this country, whether it was the G-word denial or the, I can't read most of this stuff, but it's a nasty statement here from Nanani Fontaine. She needs to be fired. Like, we can't have people like this in our government. We need to have level-headed people running the country, not insensitive buffoons. And this one's getting shared around a lot too. It says this is what high school's teachers in BC are teaching their students, and they're putting, funny mustache guy and Donald Trump. I mean, this is the problem. You can't have radical people teaching and shaping children's minds, the youth's mind. You just can't. Otherwise, you get what we've seen here, where you have students, and we're going to get to that, but they had 2 false people in custody. Now they're after a third person, which seems very much it is a student who did this. But first, we've got this Legal Aid BC employee fired for posting deeply insensitive Charlie Kirk video. So in the video, she says, Charlie Kirk got pew pew, now he's dead, ha 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 ha. Short selfie begins, finally, someone with a pew pew, which is almost everybody in the effing states, grew a pair and effing went and pew pewed somebody on the right side. Thank you. Can we keep this up, please? So I've seen this video. It's disgusting. I'm not going to play it. As you can see, I had to censor a lot of it even to have it on here. If you want to watch the video, this is what it is here.
Charlie Kirk got...
Yeah, like the Wicked Witch of the West. It doesn't end there. Look at this from Cult Montreal. Charlie Kirk died as he lived, propagating H-word myths about marginalizing groups in our society. He was a profiteer and architect of America's increasingly V-word culture war. May you reap what you sow. To hell with Charlie Kirk. Holy smokes, Cult Montreal. This publication needs to be removed. I mean, what do we've got here? The Liberal government has been funding these rats. $46,000 back in 2020. $12,800 back in 2021. Cult Montreal, $13,900, 2022. $7,600, 2024. We want to talk about where these problems in society come from. It's places like Cult Montreal writing deplorable garbage like this. And the worst part is the Liberal government is funding this crap hole. We got Florida Governor Ron DeSantis announcing the state will investigate any teacher celebrating the intentional ending of Charlie Kirk and says serious consequences are on the table. They're not messing around down there. So with that, they have a good idea who this person is now. The FBI has high resolution image they haven't released. They had 2 false arrests yesterday. Now they have actual footage of the bad guy.
Last night, we were able to make a few breakthroughs.
But free speech.
We were able to track the movements starting at 11:52 a.m. The subject arrived on campus, shortly away from campus. We have tracked his movements onto the campus, through the stairwells, up to the roof, across the roof. After we were able to track his movements as he moved to the other side of the building, jumped off of the building, and fled off of the campus and into a neighborhood. Our investigators have worked through those neighborhoods, contacting anybody they can with doorbell cameras, witnesses, and have thoroughly worked through those communities, trying to identify any leads. We do have good video footage of this individual.
I was gonna say I do now. Like it's coming to me. I said there was no video footage that wasn't AI generated. I want to recant that because like now I'm remembering. Sorry, it's just been it's been a long couple of days, but where when he dropped off the roof. He injured his ankle, and so there are that could be AI. Again, I'm gonna look more into it. I think that one might be real, where he's limping after he jumps off the roof. There was also a video prior to the murder of it sounds like there's like 2 guys that are recording and showing that there's a guy that is dressed in dark clothing that gets on top of a roof and then runs to the back corner of the roof. And then lays down, and they were saying like it's just very interesting or weird or unusual because shouldn't the counter snipers be in place well in advance? Like why was this happening now? And so I think people are looking at all that information. The FBI apparently has been getting inundated with people that are providing tips, and Candace Owens as well. Like she's been reporting this, and she's getting a lot of tips. Some things are, regarding the that aircraft where the radar was turned off. It could have possibly been in a bad reception area. It could have been deliberately turned off. So again, the flight path was known. It was from that airport in Utah to somewhere in Arizona, anyways, and then back. And with a period of time within that flight where radar was shut off. And so people say an hour, people say 32 minutes or 31 minutes, whatever. And so some pilots are saying that it was intentionally done, so that you wouldn't be able to track the aircraft. But again, even with that, like where it's going, you can still access the flight manifests. And then I got to look at that. I look at any possible escape routes out of that area. And during the time, like especially like right after, within the few hours after the horrific event, to look at all means of exfiltration. And so look at these things, but again, don't just canalize yourself or focus just on one element or just like one aspect of the interrogation when there's so many other things that people need to look at. Just don't focus on one, if that makes any sense. It's very micro. Look at the macro picture at a micro level. So there's those videos I want to talk about. Oh, there's something else, but it'll come to me.
Not going to release that at this time. We're working through some technologies and some ways to identify this individual. If we are unsuccessful, we will reach out to you.
Texts. So the text from Najra Galv, Najragalvz. So a post that was made the day before saying something big will happen tomorrow. Sorry, I want to make sure it's very specific here. Imagine thinking someone deserves to be shot for being, okay. The account has since been removed from what I'm seeing so far. I could be wrong. And the person who had posted that tweet the day before regarding Charlie Kirk's, he was saying that it wasn't him, he wasn't involved, it wasn't him. So I'm assuming he's being investigated no matter what, or will be. Okay, so okay, the account associated with the user posted cryptic message about Kirk's upcoming UVU event. Charlie Kirk is coming to my college tomorrow. I really hope someone evaporates him literally, and let's just say something big will happen tomorrow. After, okay, so yeah, so that's what it was, and so the guy is saying like that he had nothing to do with it. He shut down his account, and but again, obviously, don't just believe people for their word. Absolutely should be investigated, nonetheless. Is it going to go anywhere? I don't know. It could have just been a coincidence, a really weird friggin' coincidence.
It was the media, and we will push that publicly to help us identify them. But we're confident in our abilities right
Thank
now,
you very much.
and we would like to move forward in a manner that keeps everyone safe and moves this process.
I did, and so I did look into that as well. And where was that? Because this also happened apparently last year as well, during July 13th. Anyways, the Trump assassination attempt. And so there was a pre-release posted date of the day before. And so what it could possibly be is that this happens because a lot of books now are AI generated based on, and so it's exploiting and monopolizing on current events to be like the first ones to release or publish works. So this could have been AI generated with an incorrect pre-sale date, and that's because it's unavailable now. You can't see the post anymore, so it was possibly removed because of that reason. And so yeah, so I did look into that, and it has happened before where there's been incorrect sales dates put in from AI generated books. So where is that? Anyway. Okay, so actually I'll show my Grok conversation with this. Again, I don't just use Grok, but it's a good start state. Okay, so the publication date of the shooting of the Charlie Kirk, a comprehensive account of the Utah Valley University attack, the aftermath and America's response, ASN BOFQMF F466K by Anastasia J. Casey. So this is what I asked for. Okay, so Amazon's Kindle Direct Publishing allows authors or automated tools to set a published date in advance for pre-orders, but this date isn't verified against real-world events. It's simply a field the uploader fills out. If the book was uploaded shortly after the shooting, example on September 10th or 11th, using AI-generated content, the uploader could have accidentally or hastily entered September 9th as a placeholder for a future release or copied it from a template. Okay, so why an error? It's user input only. Once live, the book appears with a date, but Amazon can retroactively adjust or remove it if flagged, as happened here. The listing was pulled shortly after screenshot spread. Okay, so self-publishers often use AI tools to generate books on trending topics within hours of a major event, uploading them to Amazon for quick profit. Speed over accuracy. Okay, so evidence. Wayback Machine archives show the listing briefly active on September 10th with the September 9th date, but no upload logs are public. Other books on the shooting, example, Kevin George's Charlie Kirk, The Shooting of Charlie Kirk, and The Battle for America's Future, published September 10th, have accurate dates, highlighting this as an isolated glitch. So anyway, more investigation, but that's kind of where I'm leading as well.
This appropriately.
He does. He's going to climb off the edge.
They got footage of the guy here climbing off this. He drops from this roof here and he hurts his ankle, which is an important piece of information because if you find someone now who has a hurt ankle, well,
I like watching these videos.
So he picks up his pew-pew. He runs out of here. He tosses his pew-pew into the forest. The cops follow him this direction. They look at some other footage. They were able to get this doorbell footage. They were able to find the pew-pew. They're tracking his direction now. He's coming from the left side just over here. And you can see he's limping because, well, he jumped off the roof. So he hobbles across here. This is the footage that the police released, just a couple of photos. Yeah, so they have even higher resolution stuff they're not sharing, but he has a backpack here. What they're talking about on CNN right now, I don't want to put on here, but basically they're talking about how based on the event with Trump, that guy was able to put all of the pieces of the pew pew, break them down and put them in a backpack. And that's what this guy likely did. He had all those, the entire pew pew in the backpack in pieces and then reassembled it on top of the roof. We're getting people taking these images and now running them through AI and turning them into video. This is crazy because basically it kind of fills in the gaps, right? Like all this is just AI here. There's only 2 photos and it just kind of pieced it together, these 2 photos. So where we are now is people on 4chan, which is like a underground forum, have taken that footage from the FBI. Then they found a guy on SoundCloud, I believe this is SoundCloud, with this title here, and we'll read that out. Charlie Kirk ended at 31. That's the name of a song that this guy has on here. And that guy is this guy. And then they're overlaying it with those photos from the FBI. Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs, because that looks like that matches up pretty darn close. So this guy's name is Sky Valadez. I'm not saying he's the one who's done it. That's just what people are speculating right now. I don't think this bad guy is getting away with this. We got this from Juno News. CBC defends H-word expert who claimed Charlie Kirk called for queer people to be ended. This is actually coming from the CBC.
What concerns does that raise for you?
Yeah, I've had a little bit of time to look, and it is very disconcerting what we're seeing, especially from from Trump and his supporters as well, where they are calling him a martyr. There are some in online spaces that are calling for further violence, retaliatory violence. So I really fear that this will lead actually to an escalation. As you know, the left in particular is vilified in many of these narratives, and quite explicitly in an ex post comments by Trump from Trump yesterday.
I mean, look what's happened in the streets. Doesn't matter if it's America or Canada. It's always the left that are the ones that are angry and dangerous. It's not the right. This is coming from someone, Barbara Perry, supposedly some expert from the Center of H-word Bias and Extremism director. What a joke.
Really did put the blame fairly, soundly at the feet of the left and of liberals, and by extension, Democrats as well.
I just pause you on that, because I was going to play an excerpt from that message. It was direct, as sort of a video message that he recorded in the Oval Office, and began to sort of calm the waters, or at least to speak out in condolences, but then it really did swing very quickly back to political discourse. Let's listen to.
What is she smiling about there? Like, what is this smile for? What this is, what I don't even know what to say.
It's a long past time for all Americans and the media to confront the fact that violence and murder are the tragic consequence.
Trump goes on to give a message here where the left are comparing Charlie to funny mustache guys from WW2 and all sorts of other bad people.
This kind of rhetoric is directly responsible. This is what's given rise to some today, Barbara, saying they're concerned about payback or additional political violence. Again, what is your reaction and concern about what that presidential message may indeed incite?
Yeah, it really irks me, and it really does concern me, because it's very much in line with Trump's politics of vengeance, if you will, punishing the enemies. We've seen it from Trump in terms of job loss and investigations and mass arrests and deportations, that sort of thing. But there's also the hypocrisy there, I think, that feeds into the rhetoric, right, where he's talking about the polarizing rhetoric and the vilification, which is very much, laid at his feet in terms of.
He advocated for peaceful activism. He has never alluded to or claimed that any queer or trans or LGBTQ plus IA people should be executed or killed or any of that stuff. He's always talked about proper treatment, proper management, peaceful activism, debate, discuss.
Exactly the language that we're seeing there. The language even that Charlie Kirk uses. vilifying particular groups, talking about the Democrats, for example, as, and I quote, standing for everything that God hates, claiming that, queer people are defective and dangerous and should be executed. I mean, that's sort of polarizing language that contributes to this environment, this loss of civility and encourages violence directed towards the enemy, whatever the stripe. And we are seeing this from both sides.
No, we're seeing it straight from this side. I would love for you to play that clip. I've never seen that clip before where Charlie was calling for queers to be removed from existence. What is this garbage on the CBC? They're just putting up any sort of crap they want. This isn't journalism. Like, this is despicable.
They keep enabling and fueling fires that don't exist. They're like lying to people, and it's rage bait. And it's this lying is actually, again, it's so friggin' dangerous, and it is largely people that are Democratic or liberal that are doing it, and I don't know why it's like that, but it is. And even with people like Matt Walsh, and with Michael Knowles, and with Candace Owens, and with so many other people, even on the left, I'm sure as well, but getting misrepresented, like they're getting lied about, and words put into their mouth. And then we're being told that they want to kill people, that they want people to be punished and to be harmed, etc., when it couldn't be further from the friggin' truth.
For context, Professor Barbara Perry has pushed over 300 plus H-word groups, claimed in Canada for over half a decade without ever disclosing the content of her research for public scrutiny. Despite this, her government-funded list has influenced liberal government policy. People digging it up. There she is. PhD, Barbara Perry, spreading lies on the CBC. Barbara needs to resign. Yeah. Sickening CBC, professional grifter and gaslighter. Canadian taxpayers' dollars at work. It's disgusting. It is disgusting. We are all paying like $50 a year for this crap. This isn't journalism. This is propaganda. In contrast, here we've got a gay conservative man talking to Charlie. What's his response? Does he want him ended?
I'm a gay conservative, and I just want to ask you, what do you have to say for people like me who kind of feel like, I guess it's kind of hard for gay conservatives because there's not a lot of us. So like, what do you have to say to other gay people who need to realize like they do have a choice?
Yeah, first of all, welcome to the conservative movement. I don't think you should introduce yourself just based on your sexual attractions.
No, I agree. Because
that's not who you are.
I like to be thought of as a person. And
for sure, you are a complete human being, and I'm sure you treat people well, and you're studying something. So I want to get away with this idea that you're gay anything. I just think that we have gone a long way in the negative direction in this country, where we act as if the most important part of your identity is what you do in the bedroom. It doesn't mean.
Yeah, that's just it. I've said that so many times, where you got the left trying to inflate something based on what happens in the bedroom when nobody cares. The right doesn't care. We do not care if you're gay or you're straight, whatever. We don't care. We don't want gangsters in the streets. We want our economy booming. We don't care what happens behind closed doors.
Not much to me, but if you ask from a perspective as a Christian, I don't agree with that lifestyle, but politics is about addition and multiplication. I imagine you agree with a lot of what we talk about.
Absolutely.
Right? Strong borders, strong country. And for that, we welcome you into the conservative movement.
Thank you.
Great response by Charlie. Did that seem like someone who wants to get this guy ended? I don't think so. Did Barbara Perry glaze over that clip? With all that, we got Charlie Kirk being transported on Air Force One.
He was very strong in his Christian faith. And yeah, that's all I have to say about that. He was very strong in his Christian faith. There's a lot of people that are Christian, or that like from Western conservatives that don't that do subscribe to having human rights being equal rights, and for people that are part of the LGBT community. But there are limits. I wouldn't say limits, like that's because, again, I'm just saying that it's gotten really extreme, and people are just trying to make it less extreme. I'll keep it at that for now, because again, I want to focus this being on about Charlie.
You see JD Vance at the front here. This is just,
yeah.
This is heartbreaking stuff. I mean, you can see at the end of the video here on the left side, Charlie's wife is back here kind of holding her face. It's just, she's right back here. This is what the left is celebrating. Like, it's just his wife in the background covering her mouth. It's heartbreaking. Moving back over to some Canadian news, we got Durham police take down suspect after another home invasion and carjacking in Bowmanville last night. Muhammad Rahman, age 21 from Toronto, and 16-year-old male from Toronto are charged with several offenses: robbery, offensive weapon, theft of motor vehicle, possession of property.
All right. I like Chase Hughes. He had a good take on this as well.
Charlie Kirk is dead, and it exposed something vile and horrifying that I want to share with you right now, just kind of candidly. He was murdered while he's speaking in public to a group of college kids. And there's one part of this that I think should horrify you to the deepest parts of your very soul.
The thing is, too, sorry, like, I'm just, before I even get into this, there are so many people I know that are on the right that when Democrats got murdered not too long ago, I forget. Anyways, that whole incident, we were reporting on that, talking about how awful it was, how disgusting it was to do, like, not condoning violence, etc. And so it's like, it seems like there are people that are more Republican, and I hate saying this and making it about division, because it's not about politics. And Chase is going to talk about it as well, and I do agree, but it just seems that there seems to be like a little bit more class, and it could be because, like, there's more people on these sides that base their lives more on faith and believe in God. I don't know, but it's just yeah, like, we see tragedy where tragedy is. It doesn't matter about the political ideologies or what you believe in. It doesn't matter at all, right? It's about human dignity and yeah, and so I did. So people are saying that this was not getting reported, that, you know, there's a bias in reporting on the right, and I don't think that is true at all. I do. I think there is bias, obviously, again, left and right, same bird, but I will say that I see it less and less, the hypocrisy on the right, than I do on the left now.
Instead of a universal outrage, instead of every decent person saying this is insane and this is wrong, the internet seemingly lit up with these celebrations and cheers and memes, and people actually laughing and celebrating the murder of a man because he wore a different political jersey. So let that sink in for a second. And I don't think any of this is about Charlie Kirk, the person. And I don't think it's about whether you liked him or hated him or didn't even care. I think it's about the fact that political murder is somehow just another headline nowadays, and we scroll right past it. There is a whole new low for where we could go, and you have people online cheering like it's their team winning a Super Bowl, and what you're seeing is an evil mask slipping. This is a signal, and it's a signal that we, and I do mean we all, crossed into something that is a lot darker than just politics. This right here, what we're seeing, is what happens when violence becomes part of a political conversation. When actual TV networks air over and over clips that encourage people to see the other side not as neighbors that we might disagree with, but as enemies that need to be destroyed, as the threat to society. And you've seen it, I have no doubt. We all have seen this. People in the media saying these people are a threat, these people are dangerous, maybe some violence is justified, and it's not fringe anymore. This is mainstream. And there are thousands of these clips out there aired to millions of people, kind of nudging, suggesting, maybe planting seeds that maybe a fist, maybe a bullet is a legitimate form of political debate.
You resist the temptation to run up and wring her neck.
Biggest terror threat in this country.
I'd like to punch him in the face. I said if we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him.
Punch some people in the face!
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump, and that's a fact.
Psycho.
A lot of people don't have the attention span to maybe stick with this, but I pray that you do, because I'm going to expose something here that's going to change everything for you if you stick around. But here's the irony, and what I think is a absolute concrete law of history. It's concrete law. The minute that your ideas require violence to enforce or spread, they are already completely bankrupt. Every tyrant, every failed ideology, every social collapse starts the exact same way. The debate dies, then violence takes the place of debate. Yep. And you can't argue with a gun. You can only kill with it. And when killing is the substitute for a conversation, society as a whole starts falling off a cliff. And we all, myself included, we all have been sold the biggest con of our entire life. And this is that the problem is left versus right, or Republicans versus Democrats. And that is the distraction fireworks show that they want us screaming about while they're doing something else. And this is a magician's trick. And I'm about to really show you what Charlie, God rest his soul, has kind of exposed here. If you turned on cable news today, you go in your living room, turn it on, maybe you scroll social media, what are you going to see? The absolute fringe. They're going to show you the loudest, dumbest, most cartoonish people from the other side blasted in your face 24/7. You're not being shown your neighbor or your coworker or the mom next door who votes differently. You're being shown a bunch of professional lunatics that are handpicked to make you think one thing. And the one big thing that they want you to think is, oh my God, these people are insane. They are the enemy. That's the reason that we're going downhill. And none of this is an accident. This is word for word textbook psychological operations. And military psyops manuals literally describe how you isolate a target audience, then you pump them full of a bunch of outrage, you create a tribal us versus them identity. This is straight out of a psyops textbook. So why would we want to do this? Or why would psyops want to do this? Because once you're locked into tribal thinking, you're going to swallow anything. You're going to believe any lie about the other side. You're going to cheer when other people suffer. You'll excuse things that you would never excuse in your own neighborhood if you watched it right in front of you and it was one of your neighbors. This is exactly the playbook on how you get otherwise decent, kind people laughing at a murder on the internet. That is how you radicalize a country without firing a shot. And let me tell you something that you're not supposed to think about right now. You share more in common. You share more with somebody across the aisle than with a billionaire donor or some media executive pretending to speak for you. I don't think they want you to see that. They need you divided. They have to have you blind and full of rage, because a united, sane, connected public is the one thing that they actually fear. So how does a normal person, just a regular person, a guy who loves his kids, pays his bills, maybe argues politics at Thanksgiving, how does he turn into somebody who cheers at the assassination of a political opponent on the internet? This does not happen overnight. It is a formula, and I'm going to lay it out for you very plain right here. Number one is isolation. And this is where you don't just disagree with people anymore. You're told not even to interact with them.
Even with George Floyd, who on the right celebrated that? Absolutely no one. A criminal, someone who had been found guilty of being a pedophile as well. Again, not to sound graphic, again, like what happened to him was absolutely disgusting. And I called it out even at the time and afterwards. I gave a lot of information about what actually happened and the the autopsy reports and the amount of drugs that were in his system, the amount of times he was arrested, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. What actually happened during the period that of his final arrest, and unfortunately, like again, what happened was absolutely appalling or unfortunate. I would say it was unfortunate. It was definitely unfortunate and tragic. No one was celebrating that. So again, this is where there's hypocrisy as well. And so I even forget the name, for example, this person within the trans community that went to the White House a couple of years ago and was exposing his breasts, his fake breasts, at the White House. And so how do you think that people that are believe in God and are religious, whether they're people that are religious Hindi people or people from Islam or Christians to have that type of behavior at the White House. What's supposed to be like the most sacred building or area within the USA, where it's freaking anyway. And I don't even remember what that guy's name is. I'm not obsessing over this person. I'm not like trolling their social media or reporting them. Like, I don't know anyone that's doing that. We don't wish any harm on this person, obviously, and again, saying that from the start as well. And so I could give so many different examples about just how much unfortunate hypocrisy there is, and where they just don't see how disgusting it looks to normal, healthy human beings when they are celebrating this or inciting this, etc. And so many examples I can give, and of people who unfortunately, and no one wishes harm. I don't know anyone like Joe Rogan. He recently became more, I guess, conservative or Republican, and countless others. They have never celebrated any victims, people that have been like murdered or raped or anything like that, regardless of what community they come from, right? Like if something unfortunate happens to someone within the trans community or the LGBTQ plus community, no one's celebrating that. It's still a tragic event. I hope I'm making sense here. Again, I'm just still a little frustrated about this whole thing. And anyway.
You don't have friends on the other side. Don't date them. Don't work with those people. You need to cut them out of your life. That is step one. And if you're paying attention, that's also step one of joining a cult. So step two is echo chambers. You surround yourself only with opinions that sound just like yours. Social media makes damn sure of this. And algorithms serve you more of what already pisses you off. And this has been proven and documented in research. So that rage gets recycled and concentrated like moonshine, like a moonshine still. And if you haven't caught on yet, this is step two of building a cult, a dangerous cult. So step three here is the tribal script. This is the us versus them narrative. Your side is righteous, their side is evil. Every single issue is framed like a holy war, and it doesn't matter if it's taxes or healthcare. It's suddenly life or death, and it's good versus evil. And if you add outrage and righteous superiority, and our brain chemistry starts going bonkers, crazy, that cocktail makes people feel morally justified in hating and silencing and celebrating violence. That is true radicalization. That's how you turn regular people into basically a sleeper agent without them even knowing. The bad news is that what I just said is only the beginning, and it's happening on both sides of the imaginary aisle. Here's the truly horrifying part. All of this, it's not just a result of some advertising and algorithms. This is deliberate, and I would stake my reputation on it. This is not just some accidental byproduct of politics. This, what we're seeing right here, is engineered step by step to keep you outraged and blind, and keep you just kind of stabbing and punching at shadows. All the while, this real power, the people who profit from division, stay completely untouchable. So keep this in mind while we're talking. You have more in common with someone who voted different than you did than the people that you see parading their narratives on TV. Please keep that in mind forever, if you're able to. An absolutely brutal truth that nobody really wants to face. Assassinations that, especially like we saw with Charlie Kirk, assassinations are not usually about stopping some kind of evil. They're about stopping ideas. You don't kill somebody because their argument was weak. You silence them because you were terrified that their words are working on people. Think about Martin Luther King Jr. He wasn't murdered because he was irrelevant and he had bad ideas. He was killed because his vision of racial and economic unity and equality was gaining traction in the country. If you look at President Kennedy, JFK, he wasn't taken out because he had no power or had crappy ideas. He was killed right as he started poking holes in this weird, dark system's grip on our war and defense and secrecy. Mr. Rabin, this guy, Rabin, I think, assassinated in Israel. Nobody did it because he was a joke or because he was a laughingstock. He was killed because he was pushing in Israel for peace, and peace threatened power. Peace threatened power. History is unbelievably clear on this. If debate dies, when open conversation gets replaced with suppression or intimidation and ultimately violence, society walks into a death trap. There is not an exception to this. So the ideas that require censorship or intimidation or blood to survive, they are 100% of the time poison. An idea that can't survive in the sunlight has to live in the shadows. And that is the death spiral that we are in if we don't stop this shit right now. So let's look at the other hand in this magic trick. Remember we talked about there's some misdirection going on here. For decades, the press, the media was supposed to be our watchdog. They're going to find all the facts. They're going to hold the powerful accountable. They're going to keep people informed. And again, you can see this with your own eyes. It's not right versus left. Look closely at the media. It's not right versus left. This is darkness versus light. The media is a circus tent with a lot more in common to a casino. This is a propaganda machine.
Propaganda machine. People are saying that this is a spiritual war or a spiritual battle. And I've said this for a very long time. I think it is, but I think it's at the individual level. And so I think people need to take breaks, I think, from social media and actually, we're becoming more and more isolated and less tolerant to other people's opinions, it seems. And I think we need to be a lot more open to having these philosophical debates that we used to be able to have. And so General Mike Flynn, this was just sent to me from a friend, but if it is determined that a foreign power assassinated Charlie Kirk or was behind his assassination, there should be hell to pay. It is now being reported by the FBI that this is a possibility. He doesn't show any proof or facts to back this up in this tweet, but if this is true, there will most certainly be other hit teams in CONUS who are focused on other targets. The White House needs to inform the American people ASAP what they know. Local law enforcement across the country better have already received a BOLO. Be on the lookout with as many specific details as possible. Don't kid yourself. There is a war on in America, and everything and everyone we hold dear is at risk. And this is a lot of fear mongering to me, and without a lot of substance. And again, there's people that are saying that we should have our head on a swivel and that we should be more. What was the term that was used? But it was Crowder. But a hair trigger response, I think it was kind of what was said when there's a perceived threat. And I think people need to, at the individual level, see how they can impact what's going on in a peaceful way from like accessing a higher level of consciousness, if that makes any sense. Because when we're living in fear or in anger, that's like the lower level emotions, the lower levels of consciousness. And when you have things like courage and love and empathy and compassion, et cetera, these are all higher levels of consciousness. And if that makes any sense. And I don't think that Charlie Kirk would want people to do anything violent. Okay, I don't think that was his message at all. He was a peaceful activist.
Just churning out outrage. Let me just tell you exactly how this works. Facts are boring to people. Outrage is more likely to sell. It's more likely to keep you looking at the screen. That's their metrics. That's what they get paid based off of. So instead of showing you some kind of reality, they're showing you this carefully curated nightmare reel of the absolute worst of the other side. They're not giving you the whole picture. They're giving you the most extreme clips that they can find because they know that you're going to watch. They know that you're going to get pissed off when you see it all, and you're going to come back for more tomorrow. In fact, to me, if I'm very honest, if something doesn't fit their narrative, it is completely ignored. But if a story can be kind of twisted into a blame game, then it is. So they're not showing you reality in any sense. They're showing you a story designed to keep you loyal to your tribe, addicted to whatever their version, twisted horror movie version of reality really is. And what's truly disgusting, what I am genuinely nauseated by. We tend to think, oh yeah, the media is trying to sell ads for some pharmaceutical stuff, and they're trying to sell some car commercial breaks and things like that. That's not it. This is more about distraction. The reason is, while they get you frothing at the mouth over some clip of a protester screaming nonsense. The real enemy to all of us, these entrenched people that you have nothing in common with whatsoever, who decide the narratives, they bankroll politicians, and they write the rules. And you know that they win no matter who wins, right or left. You know that they're the ones getting the checks. They're laughing at how stupid we are. So let's stop with the doom and gloom for a second here. And let me just kind of bring this back. If you strip away all of the slogans, all the hashtags, the little talking points of the media, what do regular people want? What do regular people, you and your neighbors, even the people that voted differently than you? We want our kids safe. We want a roof that doesn't leak. We want food in the fridge. We want a job that doesn't crush our frickin' soul. And we want some goddamn honesty from the people who claim to represent you, to represent us. And guess what? That guy that you don't like with the bumper sticker down the street, he wants the same thing. The woman with the MAGA hat at the grocery store that you thought was an idiot, she wants the same thing. The mom who is too busy working 3 jobs to even care about politics, she wants the same thing too. But what do they not show you on TV? What is the one thing? It's that you have that much in common with the people who voted different than you. They will never show you that. They show you the screaming protester with the purple hair threatening to burn a bunch of stuff down. They show you this red-faced conspiracy guy spitting at the camera talking about crazy stuff. They show you the absolute fringe because fringe pisses you off. Fringe makes you hateful and angry. Fringe makes you think that the other half of the country has lost its freaking mind. There are absolute real studies on this. There's hard data proving that these algorithms and the media deliberately push exactly what's going to piss you off. Because the more enraged you are, the longer you're going to stay hooked. And they're literally feeding you a diet of enemies instead of neighbors. They're programming you to see the world through some kind of warped carnival funhouse mirror, where these loudest, weird-ass 1% of extremists look like 160 million people, and it's not. It is a lie. It is a lie. And if that's a lie, then let me say one thing that's true. And let me give you the truth here. You and that weird uncle that you argue with at Thanksgiving, you're not enemies. You're both being played. You're both being manipulated. And the second that you realize that, the second that you look across the aisle and see a fellow human being instead of some caricature cartoon, is the moment that the scam starts to collapse. And I think I know what you might be thinking here. So if it's not left versus right, then who the hell is pulling all these strings? Who benefits? So let me ask you, who benefits from you hating your neighbor? Because let's be honest, regular people don't profit from this chaos. Regular people don't, but someone does. And that someone is what I personally call the covert elite, because we have elite and then we have covert elite. And these aren't like a bunch of Looney Tunes cartoon villains in some underground lair. These are CEOs and mega donors to political campaigns. And you notice how they donate to both sides? These are political lifers, media conglomerates. These are the people who cash big-ass checks no matter who wins the election. They operate on both sides of the aisle because the sides pay out. They don't care about your values. They don't care about your family or your future. They care about one thing, and that's control. And let me tell you, division is the cheapest, most effective tool ever invented for that. Look at how psyops are described in military doctrine. You identify your target audience. You feed them carefully selected information, and you push their emotion until their behavior changes. This isn't theory. That's written down in black and white. And it's the same exact playbook that's being used on you and me, my family, my parents, all of us. Except this time the battlefield isn't Afghanistan. It's not some country in the Middle East. It is your living room. It's your Twitter feed. It's your nightly news. It's right here where you're looking at my face, whatever device you're watching this on. This is the battlefield. This is why both parties, you're hearing them scream about each other nonstop, but they never really seem to touch the things that matter. And you ever notice how there's always money for war, but there's never money to fix our roads? You notice how billionaires always seem to fund both sides of the elections. And if you've ever noticed, if you take a good look, corruption is a bipartisan issue. That's not incompetence. So whatever it is for the elites, they need you locked in this tribal us versus them tribalistic warfare. Because if you ever woke up and you started to realize that you share more in common with the other side than a single millionaire donor on your own side, the entire game starts to collapse instantly. And I think if you realize this, you'd stop fighting each other. You'd start realizing that the right versus left is fake. And I think that purely terrifies them. So who knows how long this video is going to last on YouTube. But let me be crystal clear about one thing. The real enemy isn't your Democrat neighbor with the yard sign that pisses you off. It's not your Republican uncle who posts stupid memes on Facebook. The real enemy is entrenched power. And it's an entrenched power that thrives on one piece of fuel, and that fuel is chaos. The real enemy is those people who profit when you are divided and distracted, and most importantly, when you are dehumanizing your fellow Americans. This was never about left versus right. It was always about the people versus the powerful. So here's the starting point. It's just sanity, just plain everyday common sense sanity. And ask yourself, do you genuinely want political opponents murdered in the streets? Do you want your neighbor dragged through the mud because they voted differently? Of course you don't, because you're a sane human being. And that means that you're okay. And sanity right now is the most rebellious act that you can commit in this country for right now. Sanity is refusing to let CNN or Fox News or Twitter decide who your enemies are. It's looking across the aisle that's probably imaginary and saying, you know what, I disagree with your ass, but you're not the devil. Sanity is truly openly saying violence is not politics. Violence becomes the death of politics. And true sanity is seeing just the weird idiots on the news and realizing that's not the norm. That is a cartoon that's curated for you. And the second that you stop playing the outrage game and you refuse to cheer for blood, which I hope you didn't do, you're already breaking the spell if you're there. I genuinely believe in my heart that sanity is contagious. And when one person refuses to take the bait, the echo chamber starts cracking a little bit. 10 people refuse. It starts breaking open a little bit more. And let me be super clear here. When millions of people, if this were to happen, or were to refuse, the machine will collapse. I guarantee it. We don't need permission to stop being pawns on the board. The minute that you decide right now that you will not be programmed into hatred, then you have started to win. And that's the first step to being sane. And it starts with you. Mr. Charlie Kirk, his death was a mirror for all of us. And it's a mirror showing us how that we have fallen, because when we see murder being celebrated, when we see neighbors that are treated like enemies, that's the signal. And I think the good news here is that the machine only works if we feed it. It only runs on our clicks and our outrage and our willingness to see half of this country as a horrifying monster. If you starve this, it's going to die. It's as simple as that. Just think about your neighbors. Look at the people around you. Your neighbors, your co-workers, the parents at your kids' school. Do they really look like these dipshits that you see on TV and on social media? Do they actually match these memes and all the screaming clips and stuff? Hell no. They look like you. They look like me. We're tired and overworked. We're worried about bills. We're praying for a future that isn't just bonkers, batshit crazy. That's the America that cameras don't show you, because if they did, you'd stop hating people. You'd start seeing reality. So here's the pledge. Here's my one thing that I want to give to you here. And you can say this pledge out loud if you need to. I will not let anything electronic decide who my neighbor is. I will not let political violence become normal. I will no longer let propaganda tell me who to hate. I will never cheer for blood. I will choose sanity. I will choose unity. I will choose to see the humanity in people before I see their politics. And if enough of us take that stand, the whole entire rotten, nasty structure starts to fall, because the truth is very simple. There are more sane people than there are psychopaths. What we're seeing online is fake. There are more of us than there are of them. And the second that we remember that, the second we refuse to be divided against each other, which is fake, the game is permanently over. And I say this as the brainwashing expert and the psyops expert. The choice is absolutely ours. Right now, do we keep this programming? Do we keep going? Do we keep letting them program us into sociopaths? Because that's what's happening. My previous video right before this one was about this. Or do we break the script and take back our sanity and just finally remember that we are one people? We're not two tribes. And I want you to remember this. If something online pisses you off, now you know for sure that you are witnessing social engineering. That's all that is. And let me end this with a quote from Martin Luther King. The ultimate weakness of violence is that it is a descending spiral, begetting the very thing it seeks to destroy. Instead of diminishing evil, it multiplies it. Through violence, you may murder the liar, but you cannot murder the lie, nor establish the truth. Through violence, you may murder the hater, but you do not murder the hate. In fact, violence merely increases hate. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. I love you. Please, please, God, send this to somebody that you know. Take care.
Well said. On that note, I will leave it at that. I think I've covered most of the points on a lot of the information that's being put out there. If it hasn't happened yet, I really hope that the suspect is found and that we get a lot more answers. So again, on that note, I will leave it at that, and I hope that everyone has a, I would say, great or wonderful rest of your day, but maybe a reflective day.